We're being live streamed across the internet. I always say that because it's a prompt on the screen. But it is Monday, July 10th, 2023, and it is another fabulous technical analysis report with your host, Bags. Hi, that's me, if you haven't ever tuned in before. And with Gautam, G. Paiza, and Nick, JFDI. Hey, guys, how are we tonight? How are things going? I'm kind of digging our Monday set. How about you?
Doing great. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Mondays.
Yeah, like it. We're not guessing on what futures are kind of doing on Sunday night. It's the first day into a new trading week. It just kind of feels fresh. Feels refreshing, like a cool drink on a hot, humid Georgia summer day. All right, that's all I got. Waxing poetic.
Is that like sweet tea?
I love sweet tea, but I was thinking of more of an adult beverage right now, honestly.
Fair.
But we were just talking, as we often do before we kick off the show. I think on Friday, maybe not the close a lot of people might have wanted to see, but GP, you were just saying not great, but it wasn't a breakdown. You want to go into that a little more?
Yeah, I don't know. I see a lot of people trying to call change in trends off of one candle, right? And a end of Friday summer move down with 0 DTE without closing even below the prior candle is not your gravestone doji that you think it's going to be, right?
It's not.
It might be a gravestone doji per se because it closes at the open and lows, but typically those are topping patterns. Typically they don't happen after 2 straight days of red as well. Typically they happen after a monster green bar and you see a push higher, so tails off the off the top. But candles without context seems to be the new thing for people, so let them do what they do, grift, whatever it is, and that's fine, right? Like, and what we had I think we were green across all indices today, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an up day.
Yeah.
So
and I think it was actually 90%
Q's up 0.03, so flat.
I actually think it was
green.
a 90% Uval day, while Microsoft, Apple, Google, Nvidia, Tesla, and Amazon were red.
So what I thought there was no breadth in this market. I thought it was only 5 stocks that was making everything go higher, and it became 8 stocks for making everything go higher.
And then it was 260 stocks.
How's that possible? Riddle me that, Batman.
I literally want to see whatever Excel sheet they came up with to give you those numbers, but someone said it and everyone caught on, and they love it. They love giving narratives while price action underneath is just, it's frustrating. I will not argue that. It is frustrating because the moves aren't as clean as they used to be, but this is what a non-free money stock market looks like. It takes time. People are trying to figure out whether they want to get back into the stock market when they have risk-free 5 to 7% treasuries. So the breakouts aren't V-shapes, right? For the most part. Breakouts are stages, they're bases, they're going through iterations, they're proving themselves. So
give me a chart to look at, and I'll pull it up as you're explaining this, GP.
Yeah, so okay, let's take Roblox for example, right? Roblox had you see the V-shaped move out of the IPO. It went from 60 to 140 and then it sold off. And then now it's been basing for a year and a half, and it's a new IPO. We've talked about new IPOs quite often, which is it's usually a few year cycle, right? You have the first levels of VC investors who are cashing out, so they run up the stock in the first 6 to 12 months of the IPO so they can cash out. And then you have what unfolds and whether the companies are actually viable companies and can survive, right? Like, so you'll see the big distinction is Uber and Lyft. All of these came in at ridiculous valuations. They still pumped it for the first 6 to 12 months, and then they destroyed it. And now you'll see Uber is starting to separate itself from Lyft because Uber is a better viable model. And they're making the hard and necessary changes in their business process to make it a profitable business. So you're starting to see Uber outperform Lyft on an overall year-over-year basis, even though their valuations are still, to me, kind of ridiculous. But so that's what you're seeing. And you'll see that in Roblox. Roblox is a company that's unprofitable, but growing heavily. So if you start to see, and I see a lot of accumulation in the chart. So there's people who are buying into the fact that this company will be viable in the future. The question is that future tomorrow, or is that question future 6 months from now, 12 months from now? We're gonna have to let the chart play that out, right?
Lyft actually looks pretty good up to 13 or 14 bucks. Off the
Yeah,
bottom of the chart. I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had this charted long ago. Nick, you brought up Uber a couple of weeks ago as a name you like. Did you ever get in that?
He's muted.
Sorry, I had some kids coming down here. What was that?
You mentioned a couple of weeks ago that you liked Uber. Did you
I do.
ever get in Uber? Are you
No,
in
I
Uber?
haven't. I love it. I'm hoping to grab some near 40 if I get the opportunity. 37 would be even a bigger. 37 to 34 would be even a bigger gift, but kind of to see. No.
Yeah, that would be a retest of that breakout, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody who's tuned in with us. Gaga Papa, make the time. Randy, hey Randy, it's good to see you again. We're gonna have to pull Randy's honorary status if he doesn't keep showing up. Make the time, thanks. Dub C and Jen Imamura. Dub C says Roblox is an if, not a win. GP, got a hot take on that?
Sure. Isn't that every chart in the planet? You have to make
if not win. Yeah.
Yeah. To me, it's a when, not if, right? But that's based on the chart, and if that chart changes, then my opinion will change. But as of now, there was a monster volume candle, and every candle since then, almost every candle since then, has been accumulation. And if they crap the bed, then you'll see that accumulation turn to distribution real quick. But right now, it's accumulation.
It's pretty tight.
Yeah.
Nick likes them tight.
Yeah,
Buy 'em
I
tight,
like,
sell them loose, right, Nick?
oh yeah. You know what? I like how tight Roblox is getting here. I mean, your risk is so,
It's
I
defined.
don't know, clearly definable. Yeah. I mean, if you really want, you could just give it the 200-day.
What was the 200-day?
30, basically
I
38.
don't have my 200-day on there. I got to correct that. Oops, something went wrong. What went wrong? I don't have the 200-day on my chart. Oh, I'm looking at my daily trend, not our clean that I do for the show. That's what was going on. There we go. That's more like it. Way to go, Bags. You saved the day. Yeah, Mick, that's pretty perfect right there, honestly. Yeah, give it to the 200-day. I like that.
Yeah, shake them below the 200-day and volume.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, shake and bake.
We got something like that, but I mean,
You got to shake them and bake them.
Yeah,
You know, if you pull up the weekly, it's basically gyrating around the weekly 21 SMA, which is now rising. There's a lot on this chart that says it's a when, not if. But if you think it's an if, that's fine too. That's what makes a market, right?
Oh, WC saying it's going up, no doubt about it. So maybe he got it. Maybe he got it backwards. Yeah, it's a win, not an if. So it is going to happen.
Oh, he's making fun of me. Oh, I posted if not when by accident. Yes, I got it. Never mind.
Super
Take
bags, man. Thanks, Randy. I don't know what I did that was super. I saved the day. Oh, that's what I did. I saved the day. A name that we've liked, and I don't know if anybody else took a position in it though. We'd be remiss to not talk about RIVN after this epicness that has been going on.
a beast.
You
move.
know, in basically less than a month of being in it, I'm up like 90% or some shit like that.
The volume is just gigantic.
Yeah, and I don't really have a good reason to sell.
Nah,
Normally I get out half when I'm up 100%, but look at this. This is going to go 25, already passed it, 30s on deck. Like it's going to keep going, I think, and not straight up. Obviously, it's burning hot on all the indicators.
Straight up, it's going straight up. Like it's not going to be even like it. Sorry, that volume, that breakout volume, is not one you sneeze at.
no.
This is
so it's going straight to 50, quick, fast, in a hurry.
if
I
not
think
higher. You're so when Tesla, if you are historical charter like me and love taking a look at trends, Tesla on the first major volume breakout, like all-time high weekly volume breakout, went from $2.76 to $12.75. It also took out IPO highs because they actually priced IPOs better back then than they do now. So it's hard to make the same comparison. But the move is not going to stop at 100%, in my opinion, from the breakout, which is, I think, 24, whatever it was. I think the move is probably higher, closer to that 60 area.
60 is where you think it's heading.
I think so.
I love it.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
But 50 is probably the more logical place.
yeah,
But things overshoot all the time. So
yeah, I marked 50 on my chart just because, like, right there, that's $50 and a penny, and that looks like a pretty good spot to slow down. That looks like a speed bump to me in the making. But that doesn't mean that it couldn't decide to make the speed bump 71. I just think somewhere in this zone above 50 is probably got to catch your breath.
yeah, but the volume is all you need to really know on this chart, which is that was all-time high weekly volume on
Yeah.
the move. So if you were a Tesla shareholder, a longtime Tesla shareholder, Rivian should have been your hedge.
Well, and even so, like, look, we're a third of through July, and we have nearly the identical amount of volume in July as we did all of June.
Yep.
I mean, this is on pace for some insane, just insanity, not just some, yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Interesting. The more we've talked about Rivian, the more I see them driving around up here.
Yeah, and that's the I think we talked about that about a month and a half ago, or whenever we first started talking about Rivian, is like, dude, all the people that I know who are early adopters to Tesla are now early adopters to Rivian.
Yeah.
And they took deliveries on them. So like that was my random anecdotal sign to start levering into Rivian without even looking at the chart, to be honest. I just went, I think the next day after my friend took three friends took deliveries on the Rivians, and I just started buying. Sometimes it's not charts, sometimes it's charts help, obviously, but sometimes you just got to see what's around you, right, Nick?
Yeah, totally. I agree. What are your favorite setups out there right now? Like that you don't have something currently.
That I don't currently have a position in.
Yeah.
Wayfair.
Wayfair.
That's just W.
Old dub. Throw up the dub.
Oh yeah.
Look at the weekly. It is like just busting at the edges to go. And look at the accumulation that's hitting, right? Look at those green candles that are coming in here. And it's just right there. It's just waiting for that trigger, that catalyst, whatever it is.
I love when the 9 crosses over the 50 on the weekly. If I'm not in by then, that's where I want to be in at. So that looks really good to me, GP.
Yeah.
Right. That looks like imminent breakout right there.
And the breakout in Wayfair, because it's a heavily shorted stock, is usually pretty epic. So like the way I see this playing out is it's going to be a quick and easy move to 108, 110 from here.
Yeah.
Squeeze. I love a good squeeze play.
But it's got the volume to support it too, right? People are coming in and saying, okay, enough is enough. This is at a point where we want to be long this name, right? And you're seeing it on the charts here. So this looks really good, but I have no position because I'm still waiting for the trigger, because it is a name that can frustrate for a while and it can have a random sell-off because it high shorted. So I rather wait for the trigger and catch the bigger part. Like, I don't need to catch the bottom. I just need to catch the move.
A setup I really like, and I've talked about it, is the sauna. I love it. I'm in there like swimwear. Like this almost has that Wayfair setup. It's a little bit behind, but what I like the most is we got a false breakdown right here and basically a bullish engulfing coming off of that guy.
Yeah. Right off the 50.
And I really, really, really like it a lot. I'm talking my book, but I like it a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's very similar. It's very similar to the Rivian setup. Two completely different companies. One's is a software company. One's electric vehicle. So completely different companies, but the setup is also similar to that Wayfair. And I think there's a lot of these setups that are still out there that are still very actionable, that aren't completely overbought as so many of the darlings are out there right now.
Yep. Throw a path up there as well.
Yeah, we talked about path with cookie, right?
Yeah.
Path looks
very similar setup.
Yeah,
Very
you
similar.
does too. Huh.
Which one, Nick?
You.
Unity. Do my Rick James impression. My Charlie Murphy, Dave Chappelle. Unity.
I think some of the expensive names are starting to shape up again. Like, I like Now a lot.
Yep. MDB.
Yeah, SMCI is looking like really good right here. I think it's pushing for a run to 300 here.
Which one, Nick?
SMCI.
Super microcomputer. Holy hell, Nick.
Yeah, that thing's been just on a tear. This is on my wall of foo bars. I got shaken out under the 50-day back in April.
Well, this is for the newly initiated. You don't often see, how many weeks is that? 11 weeks.
Yeah.
The weekly RSI has been above 70. That's just crazy shit right there.
That's just telling you they want to be long. Look at that volume with that too. Like, it's just.
That's nuts. Why haven't you shared this with us, Nick?
Like I said, I haven't been looking at it too much. I got shaken out under the 50-day back in whatever, back when it was still chopping, only to miss this basically a run from, basically 100.
Guys holding a winner like this back We've just been given these plays out for months on end of good stuff to be in. Costco, remember when we were yapping Costco?
Yep. You know, it's another one that Nick's been talking about that had a nice day today.
Marvell.
IoT.
Marvell's flagging. IoT.
Big old engulfer today.
Big engulfer today on volume too.
Oh, yeah. What is
and at the breakout point from the IPO?
What do they do?
It's a cup and handle.
Technology search.
No clue what they do. Don't ask me.
Internet connected sensor systems. Well, Internet of all things, IoT.
Yeah, I still don't know what they do, but okay, I'm okay with it.
All right.
This is not an investment. This is a trade.
So basically, PLTR, SHOP, GLBE, MGNI, and ASUR are some of the other top names in their industry group.
SHOP is
somebody mentioned Palantir in the chat.
Yeah, it's looking great.
Who shouted out Palantir? I don't know. Somebody did, but we'll look at Palantir for you. We'll look at it for you, pal. Yeah.
I don't like that big sell candle personally. In an up move, you never like to see that big sell candle on the daily, but it does look pretty good.
Looks like it's recovered to me.
What's that?
Looks like it's recovered to me. You're talking about this candle that you don't like.
Yeah, that was a pretty big candle, right? Like, so
yeah.
It's the biggest one, and then even after that, it was pretty heavy selling compared to the greens.
You're only up 11% since the close of that bar.
Yeah, but higher lows so far, right? It did have a bullish engulfing. It does, like I said, it looks pretty good, but I tend to just stay away from these when these candles appear in these kind of names, because I just don't have trust in it the way I do in the other setups. That's just my personal preference.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Big Greenie over at Charts for Charity has dubbed this shitco summer, and yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not saying Palantir is a shit company, but it's all these high valuation companies, all these high multiple companies, like a Palantir, like a Rivian, like an Asana, like a Roblox. It just feels like they're all going to go.
Yeah.
It's hard to see. Like, what's your take then on like do you think Google's gonna pull back any further here? Like, do we get a chance at like 110, 115 ish, or
maybe
114?
So I'm long Google now.
Yeah.
I think that it might do this fuck around until earnings. I think we might. I think we might be in the wash for 14 more days before it decides what it's going to do. I would probably buy more if it came into that 110-ish.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be a seller.
No.
The only way I would probably be a seller is if, I don't know, I've got dry powder. I probably wouldn't be a seller. I'd probably just add to it.
Yeah.
You know, so what I will say is today felt like the shakeout in Google on seeing what seemed like heavier volume. It couldn't break the low from a couple of weeks ago, right? That 116.10. It got to 116.14 and stopped and turned, right? And didn't turn heavy, but it turned. So feels like a shakeout based on the rebalancing. It is 7.5% of the NDX, so maybe some people are front running the potential rebalancing, whatever it is, but it feels like a shakeout. It is under the weekly 9, so there should be caution in general, but I literally thought the way it was going all day today that it would break that 116.10, and I was watching and just didn't. So something to keep in mind. It could be a falling wedge, part of a cup and handle. It could be a bunch of things that are happening here. Obviously there's better names for short-term plays, but if you're long-term, it's a falling wedge into the supply zone from April to August of 2022.
Yeah.
Which is also a good point, right? Like there should be buyers that show up in that area. So got to see it. But right now it's suspect.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. I kind of am with you on today might have been the shakeout GP. I played some calls last week as a trading position, and I got out of more than half of them with around 25% the day I bought the calls. So it's gone down. They're the 126s for not this coming Friday, but next Friday. And with just a handful of calls and not a lot of money, I just doubled them up today. Because if it's the shakeout, then it's probably going to pop. If it's not, then I'm at a point where if it loses too much more, it's a pretty easy stop once it gets down into like 114. Like that's 115-ish, 114-ish. It's a pretty easy stop out for me. And yeah, it'll be a small loss on the call position I have, but not the end of the world. I already pulled some profit and I've had other winners. So sometimes you got to pay to play the game.
Which makes sense.
We are getting a ton of requests. And welcome to everybody who's new to the TA report. We appreciate you being here. I'm your bus driver holding bags, the Swedish chef. If you don't mind, please hit the like button for us and subscribe to our channel. It greatly helps us. And we'll get to some of these charts for you guys. I'm going to throw out 6 names, and the first one to say the one they want, that's the one I'll pull up. Doc N, Art, QQQ, Snow, XBI, 4, and Silver.
4.
4.
Yeah.
4's on deck. Shift 4 payments. Nick, have you looked at 4?
I mean, I think it looks amazing. I like the weekly more than
good.
anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right here. It looks really good.
Am I the only one who's on the opposite side of that? It seems that way.
You don't think it looks good?
4?
4 FOUR. Shift.
He doesn't like the volume bar on in April, I would imagine.
Mr. Volume over here.
Amen.
Amen.
I think on the daily, you buy the breakout over 69 if you're not already long. I think your risk is like, I don't know, 62.5 basically. And then I'd be looking to get long again on a breakout over like 70, whatever that is, 76, 77.
I completely agree with Nick's assessment there.
I like it.
Yeah. And if
agree with
we lose 64, it's gonna break below 57 and then 55 and then on its way to 40.
I mean, on its way to 40. Yeah. I wouldn't be long under. I mean, I wouldn't be long for any reason under basically 60.
Yeah, I just wouldn't be long, period. That's a different
Sure.
I don't like with the amount of charts that look great, it doesn't make sense for me to be long something that has a questionable candle. Maybe it's just a shakeout candle, maybe it's not, but to me, there's so much that looks better than this.
The market smith numbers are pretty damn good. Like earnings and sales are both accelerating quarter over quarter.
I know. I really wish I looked at fundamentals.
Dubsty, our friend Anchor, said the volume bar was a short report announcement on this one.
Yeah, but then there was the earnings volume bar on top of that, right?
Well, I don't know. I'm just telling you, GP.
I'm just looking at the chart, right? So that short report had a bounce, and that bounce got pushed all the way to the 21 SMA here. And then on earnings, it had a monster move down from 67 all the way to 58. So I'm looking back at the daily since June of last year, and I don't see a lot of accumulation, but I do see two to three quite questionable red bars, and that is enough for me to say I wish you well, and I hope it goes to 200 whatever, but it's just not for me.
The old "I wish you well" playbook.
The only name in the industry group that has a stronger RS number would be Toast, which is also, I think, has been looking great and shaping up. I know a lot of IBD guys are all over it, but it's basically right in the buy zone or breakout pivot here.
All right.
And as we speak.
But the Toast chart looks better. It does have that one volume candle, but there's a lot more accumulation candles in Toast than there are in 4 to me.
4.
And I have seen Toast popping up everywhere, literally everywhere, here in Atlanta. So, yeah, there's a real world.
I mean, those are the
anecdotal
two top
for you.
names in the.
Yeah, and it's right at that like kind of basing area of like 22 to 24 highs part of the box. So I personally like Toast a lot better than 4. If that's me.
Our friend Monkey Banana Genius, the MBG, isn't in here on the YouTubes, and I normally don't take requests from the stock tweets, but since he's not here, he asked for Autodesk, Adobe, FSLR, and XLE. We're definitely touching on XLE. So, GP, is there one of those other 3 that you'd like to chat on?
ADSK.
Autodesk.
Not a huge fan, personally.
Well, we've had other people ask in the chat about Adobe. Let's just go to Adobe.
Yeah,
I think Adobe looks rock.
Adobe looks great.
Yeah,
rock solid.
Adobe looks great. It had that monster kind of volume shakeout, and it's been accumulation since. So
look at my Adobe chart.
We have a 3-week tight, and it's already moving higher here to start.
Yeah,
Monday.
today was basically your entry. If you weren't already in it.
I gotta check when I tweeted that out, but I said it looked amazing.
Yeah, over 520. You have potential to maybe 550 to 570. And then I think that's where a lot of charts start to get a little bit more questionable.
May 26th broke out, and it's only up 20% since saying it broke out. So there you go.
Yeah, I like
I said, we have been giving away hot plays for months, and this is not financial advice. I'm not saying what you should do with your discretionary or non-discretionary income, but every week we talk about straight hot fire on here that there's so many charts that we can't even play them all ourselves. Nick has talked about Uber for months. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox.
Yeah.
XLE. So I haven't been have opportunity to watch much of Sheeple Vision and CNBC. I do like CNBC, but life and work has had me caught up, and I haven't caught it. But I caught today's what was it? Final Trade. Is it Final Trade? What's the show? Anyway, Carter Braxton Worth was on there. And he was saying, you want to buy energy, you want to buy XLE right now, it's going higher. GP, I turn to you. What do you say to the chart master, and I was using air quotes, Carter Braxton Worth on XLE? He was using his to the penny bit.
I love hearing GB talk about XLE.
I got no comment, man. It's sideways. There's so many better charts out there than XLE, in my opinion. I would have, if you think this is a reaccumulation phase, where I've seen a lot of charts this weekend on XLE about reaccumulation, I don't see it. I see quite a few of distribution bars, but I don't see where they're reaccumulating. It's under the weekly 21, which is now declining. but it's above the 9, which is now increasing. So you're probably at a point where it's gonna, this week will probably determine where it kind of goes. You have 2 quarterly red bars. You have a monthly MACD cross down that just started. You have it's still sitting, I think, below the monthly 50. Is sitting below
Mr. Volume, can we just start with this? Can we just start with that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, as of Friday, we had a big kind of pocket pivot bar along with kind of a daily engulfer. And if we take out that 82, I think it's likely that we're heading back to that next pivot high, kind of around basically 87.5 to 88. I mean, I think that goes to kind of GP's point that it's more or less range bound here. And the fact is, like, it hasn't had the volume to push it lower. So, I mean, I think people should be expecting a bounce here just back to at least mid range before it either rolls back over or decides to continue higher.
So my question to you, Nick, is do you have the buy button already smashed for some gush?
No, I do not. No. I mean, even gush, if I was trading, yeah, I mean, if I was trading the XLE, which I think we all know that I'm probably the worst commodities trader alive, but I mean, that thing looks like it could head right back to the 200 day. I mean, that's a good 20, 25 point run from here. But no, I'll pass on the gush and XLE. I think if I was going to get involved in anything, it'd probably just be like the XOM.
All right. Humor me. What comes first? 84 or 75?
84. I think it's getting right to kind of break higher here, but I'm not saying all-time high is higher. I'm saying
yeah. No,
intermediate.
I think where it's at right now, 84 is, we have been bearish on energy. 84 is $3 up, right? Yeah. 75 is $6 down. So it's basically 2 to 1 here that I'm giving aside, right, to the bulls. You have barely much more to go. GP, which would you take?
75.
75. If I could have put a bet on the answer of that, I would have.
75.
I wasn't even paying attention, and there's 75.
75. Fucking 75.
To me, look, listen, like, if you're looking at the last since May 1st, right? Let's just talk about this base that's kind of forming. If you want to call this a base, I think it's distribution. Look at the May 1st candle. That was heavy red volume. May 3rd, heavy volume down. May 4th, heavy volume down. And then every green bar since then has not even come close to one of them, I guess, has come close to those red bars. And to me, it's been lower lows since November of, by the way, Gravestone Doji. That if you're looking for Gravestone Dojis, this is how you can find one. Sorry. Geez, I'll stop. I think it's the final. I don't know about final anymore, but
it's the final count. I can't sing that. We don't have the rights. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. It's still below that big sell candle. So until it gets over 84, it's 75 comes before 84 is my opinion, but I don't know. Like I said, there's so much better stuff out there than this crap.
All right, that's enough of talking energy. Our friend Rig, she can't sign on to the YouTubes, but she wants us to take on Ford. Ford used to be a nice holding for me, and I got out. But it looks all right. I prefer Rivian. By the way, Carter Braxton Worth said he was shorting Rivian on Friday. So how'd that work out for you, Carter? I mean, I'll look at this, I'll look at Rivian. I'll look at this, I'll look at Rivian. And I know we've already missed a big move in Rivian, but if Rivian's going to 50 or 60, some people say, it's hard for me to believe that Ford's going to 30s anytime soon in that quickness. That's just me. That's just my take. That's part of what changed my thesis on Ford. But the chart,
sell side's volume on the weekly Ford is on each candle since, I don't know, October of last year has been higher.
I like that it's poking its head in this area. I would like for it to get up to this area, like 1650-ish, and break through for me. Looks like a pretty prominent spot to go against. So if it struggles getting to 1650 or it fails at 1650-ish, not my cup of tea. But right now it looks somewhat productive, in my opinion, constructive. Nick?
I mean, I like it. I agree with you. I think that there's better setups. Like I'd rather have my money elsewhere, but just basically looking at it, I think it's going to like mid 20s. I think that likely.
Right. I mean, that's a really good return from here.
Yeah, I think that the gap fill at 19, whatever it is, 99. I think that the $20 gap fills, I think, can ultimately act as a magnet.
Yeah, I mean, you get back up to mid 20s, that's a 68% increase. That's a good return.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the range over the last, pretty much the last year, is what I'd be looking at. We've been bouncing between 15 and 11. So just based on that alone, I think we're starting to expand. I think we'll get another 4 or 5 points out of here.
Probably not going to like what I have to say on Ford, so I'll keep my mouth shut.
No, Nick, Nick and I'm more of the, it's okay. Nick's like, I like it. Go ahead and throw your wet blanket, GP.
Yes. I don't like it. I think it was a mean reversion move, and it's probably going to fail in this area. Under 1664, I think is what I have on my chart. It's got to get above that, stay above that, and show volume with some oomph, right? Like, if you're looking at the bottom of the ranges, right, which is around 10, do you see buyers stepping in hardcore? No, you don't. But when it gets to like a little bit higher, or when it gets lower to that, the sellers are stepping up. So I don't personally like this. It is sitting above moving averages, the 9 and 21. So it's okay from that perspective. But as of now, you made a high in January 2022, and you made another lower high in August of 2022. And you have the potential, especially after last week's doji, not on a lot of volume, that you could be making a potential lower high once again here, right above the 1480 kind of level. So this is probably an important week for it to maybe show some solid accumulation, but
show a little bit of strength.
Yeah, I don't personally like. This is not my style of trading. All
right, we got roughly 15 minutes to go. We've had a lot of people ask for coin. I know there's been a lot of names put in the chat. Bear with us. We'll try to get through them, but if you don't spam the chat, but drop it back in the chat so I don't have to scroll everything. But coin has been requested several times. I am long coin, so there you go. That tells you what I'm already going to say about coin. Nicholas.
I like Coin. I like Mister. I like Riot, Mara, Putt. I like all of them
The
in that
miners,
space.
yep.
And speaking of which, even one that I didn't particularly like, I think Square is also starting to shape up even more. So I know we kind of talked about that one previously. PayPal, not so much, but I like all of them.
Coin or closed 2 cents above prior week's high. So it's poised to break out here.
Yeah.
The volume is looking pretty good. It's already close above prior week's high and it's Monday. So gap and go is a possibility. Gap and crap is obviously a possibility because it's coin and it's a shit box for the most part. If you have short-term time frames, but longer term, it's something that I'm holding January 2025 leaps on. So I get to a point in some charts in some stocks where I just stop doing the day trades or the short-term trades, and I look at where I want to be a couple years from now. And I was going to buy commons, but I actually went with in the money or close to the money leaps for 2025, and I think they're doing well. They're up like 60 or 70% already. So I like him. I like the chart. I like it on an accumulation basis. And it's already taken out last week's high. So
What do you
this
think?
is definitely something on watch for the rest of this week. There was
What do you think of
decent
Hood?
amount of flow into the 100 calls for next week as well today.
So I was overweight my coin position, pulled some out in the 70s, right around this point here when we ran into the 50 weekly, but still very long. GP said exactly what I was going to say. Above the prior week's high already sounds like the dinner bell ringing for some calls for me. So that'll probably be a look that I have soon. As far as Hood goes, also long Robinhood. Cashed out my calls from last week that would have expired this week already, more like 150%. Would have loved to gotten a really nice pullback, and we got a little bit of this morning to got back in them, but I didn't. I had other real world things to do. But I like Hood. I think Hood's going to go higher. It just broke out of the wedge. It's just now breaking into that 50 weekly. I above, what is that, 12, above 1276. It's got a lot of legs under it after that. So another $1.50. I think it at least gets to there. So yeah, that's my thought on Hood. GP.
I like Hood. They're doing kind of all the right things. Chart has good juju behind it. Decent amount of accumulation. What was the crazy part was, if you were paying attention today, ARK had a pretty big day, while their biggest holding had a pretty rancid day. Tesla, right? It was
Meemaw Kathy got that look. I posted that on Friday. Like, it's got that look. Here's that.
She's a big holder of Hood, right? And
yeah,
a big holder of Square, I believe, as well, and Roku, and all these names that were doing really well today. So to see ARK up nearly 4%, while Tesla's down 2%, which is their number one holding, it's pretty impressive. That means all her shit companies are doing well.
Shitco summer.
Yes, like T-Doc, I think, was mentioned in the chat, also had a 6% day. I don't know why you'd want to be long T-Doc personally, but I hope it works out for you. I just don't see what
it's just kind of dead. Yeah, it's dead.
Well, things can trade, right? Like, depending on what mindset one has. I personally wouldn't necessarily want to have a investment position in T-Doc. But if the right circumstances presented themselves on the chart, I might consider it for a trade.
Yeah, and it has accumulation recently in the last 8 months, right? So I can see but it's sitting literally at the bottom of the range, and maybe it's a hell of a trade from here, but I continue to say there's just so much better looking stuff that this doesn't fall in my category, and I hope it works out. I always want everyone to win, especially when it's retail, because dude, it's hard enough.
Yeah.
DP, do you think IWM is getting ready to rip here?
Absolutely, which
Yeah.
is why the XLE, I'm like, you know
Right.
what? I will keep my mouth shut on XLE. I still think it's distribution from what I can see. But if XLE is ripping, so is financials, so is energy. And if you're looking at XLE, names like RIG stand out, SLB stand out, not necessarily XOM and
Oh my God, Rig looks amazing right now.
yeah,
Damn.
right. So if you're looking at names, my stance has always been that it's going to be the OIH, not XLE, right? So, and
Yeah. OAH looks. Damn.
right, like if you look at OIH, that's got accumulation, barely any selling, and it's starting to move out of that range that was established by that monster volume candle, right? In February of 2022. So this to me is where you should be looking if you're looking at energy, not at XLE. But hey, that's me. Look at SLB.
Yeah, I was just looking at BKR. Damn.
Right.
Dang.
If you get a chance, can you throw up RIG real quick?
Transocean.
Right. That's lots of accumulation there after the capitulation volume bar. It's now breaking out of the rounding kind of cup and handle. It's just, this looks good. SLB as well.
Schlumberger.
Yeah. Once again, it's had its kind of small pullback, and it's now starting to accelerate higher. And so, like, I personally think it's OIH versus
SLB is the biggest position in the OIH.
I know.
Oh, sure. Okay. I just
No,
pulled up the
that's
list.
why I normally take a look at the components of these ETFs,
Sure.
and then make decisions based on the vast majority of the higher holdings on what looks good on an overall perspective, right? So like a lot of the stuff that's sitting in the XLE is sitting under moving averages. It's not the greatest looking stuff. And whereas if you're looking at the OIH, the names like SLB and RIG and so many others that are in this space are looking better. They're above their moving averages. There's accumulation in the charts. So
I dig it.
I dig it. What else do we dig? What do we like and what do we don't like? I think we kind of went over things we don't like. And we did also touch on some things we like, but maybe there's something else out there.
I see
FTNT. Oh,
AT&T.
ETNT?
No, just AT&T.
Oh, AT&T. T? Letter T?
That was one of the questions. No.
Yeah, I'm not touching it.
Like,
if
Verizon
I'm going for a dividend, I'm going to go into JEPQ, or I'm going to go into this is something I posted last week. Crown Castle. I mean, not a great chart, but 5% yield. It looks like it might want to start turning. Anyway, if you're searching for yield, AT&T.
I like Verizon. If you're going to choose out of the two, Verizon or AT&T personally. But Verizon doesn't look that hot either, so it's a name that I'm scaling in over time.
In the chat, I also see Net. I like Net.
D-Dog looked great.
I've liked Net for a long time.
Yeah.
Flagging above the EMAs right there. Volume's light. I know it's the first thing GP's going to say. But I like it. It needs to break above this like 70, 77 area.
Oh, I actually looked at Net yesterday. I feel indifferent about it. So
half a wet blanket. You get
Yeah.
half dry, half wet on that one. What else?
there's a lot of names, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of names in there. D King, DraftKings.
Yeah, DraftKings has been on a tear.
Yeah, it has been on a tear.
Monster bar today.
Yeah, big runner there. Sorry, I'm just skimming everything here, guys. Melly.
Melly is an interesting one. It looks like reaccumulation to me. And today's the shakeout, but got to see how the week closes. Right, it's had so Melly since December 2021 on the weekly has had quite a lot of accumulation in the chart and some decent distribution. So it's kind of it's below that 1125 level that I have on my chart right now. So I'd be watching for a shake below this week, and then next week it closes above. And if it doesn't, then it's got further downside, probably back to 950, unfortunately. It's kind of like a rounding top, but the volume's not there on the rounding top. So
Yeah, a little bit. Nicholas, what do you like?
I think for
Snow?
potential
You like some
setups.
snow?
It's I don't know. I like snow. It's just in a kind of a difficult range for me right now. I got chopped out of it. I wouldn't be surprised if today was kind of the low, just the shakeout under the 50-day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did like it. I still, I guess, kind of like it, but I don't have any right now.
weekly and daily are conflicting on snow. Do you see that?
Yeah, totally.
Sorry, the weekly and the monthly are conflicting on snow, not the daily. The first look at this, I feel like it's going to break lows.
You feel like it's going to break lows?
Like, I don't really look at this chart all that often, so I'm just looking at it the first time in probably weeks or months. And my first take is that it looks like it's going to break lows.
I think it's going after the 250 is kind of where I think it's heading. And I only say that because price is trying to inch into that what is it, the April 2022 bar.
My concern is the volume that keeps showing up on the weekly below that, like right around that 184 level, right? So
Yeah.
if you look at the May 22 week this week, that was off earnings. It's a pretty big sell bar with volume right at that 180 level. And then you had another earnings candle with a high volume bar on February. You had another high volume a couple weeks ago in June. Not a lot of accumulation. That's why I said if you look at those same candles on the monthly, it looks like accumulation. That's why I was saying it's conflicting for me.
Yeah, you could even argue that just based on like that June 15th, basically breakout failure there. Based on that alone, you could assume that price is going to head back to like the 130s. You know, we broke out of this range more or less just to fall right back in it.
Yeah.
Put in another lower high on 628. That was kind of your confirmation if you had a, you know, you want to put a short trade on. But
yeah, and what I would say is like, so in August of 2022, you had this accumulation bar, and I've been looking for, which is why I stopped looking at the chart for the most part, is I've been looking for something to show that there was more accumulation happening, but almost every bar since then on the weekly has been high volume red.
yeah,
right?
I see that too.
To me, it could just be a shake under that 110 level, but it doesn't look great. I don't know. This is me. And I know it's beloved and I'll probably get a lot of hate for it, but my first pass, my first take is I don't want to be involved here. And if I was, I'd be looking to short against 184.
I mean, the same as almost any other conversation we've had. Like, if,
But look
if
at
you
the
really
wicks,
are that
and
committed
look
on it, buy
at
versus
the
the lows
weekly
instead of waiting for the
wicks
breakout.
too.
Say that again.
Look at the weekly wicks too. Like this is, I don't know. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
No, I was just gonna say, you know, we've talked about gold, we've talked about other names, like just wait for the breakout and either wait for the breakout or buy like a massive pull in, and we haven't gotten that yet. But so far the breakout failed.
Yeah. To me, it's like I don't see other people accumulating, so why should I?
One that I was looking at but completely missed was PayC.
Paycom.
It broke out today on pretty decent volume. I just life got in the way, so I wasn't really at my desk today, but
I don't think you missed it. You could still play it up.
yeah, but that 329 was kind of the trigger that I was kind of waiting for. If I get a pull in, or if I get
It
a
looks
chance,
like it's
that's
got
like,
another $30 in the bag, probably.
yeah, I would, yeah, definitely.
I like it. It looks good. I'll stop being a wet blanket, guys.
No, GP, you're not. I just like, hey, you give me shit, I like to give you shit too. So what brothers do. Brothers don't shake hands, brothers hug.
That's right.
GP, don't say Tesla, don't say Netflix.
I mean, you got to say Netflix.
We haven't even, this is the first mention of Netflix. We're an hour in.
Yeah. Look how good that thing looks.
Does it look good? It just looks like it's annoying the hell out of me, is what it looks like.
Yeah, probably, but it's going directly to 500.
Yeah, but that's peanuts for what Netflix should be at.
Sure.
Right.
Peanuts.
A lot of the flow continues to be people just collecting premiums until earnings report comes out. It looks like to me.
Earnings
I
next
like
week,
it.
right?
What's that?
Earnings is
Yeah,
next
same
week.
day as Tesla.
Yeah.
And so, what was the question? You said I can't mention.
I said
Tesla
you
or
can't say
Netflix.
Tesla and you can't say Netflix.
Okay. But what's the question?
What do you like?
Oh, what do I like? I like Coin. Obviously, we talked about that.
Yep.
I like GitLab.
Oh, we talked about that not too long ago.
Yes, that is tight and ready.
It had a big run. That was a monster move. 40% from the bottom. Yeah, it does look ready again, doesn't it?
It does. So I like GitLab here.
See, I like when a chart runs and then catches its breath, lets those moving averages come back together, and then it's ready to do it all over again. I like that.
Yeah, I have no
talked about that
position.
like right back here too. See, we
I have
just
no-
giving you plays.
I have no position in this one, and I've identified it a few times, but I keep forgetting about it because it's not in the top of my watch list. I honestly love the accumulation that's happening in Duck and
Somebody mentioned Doc N in the
Yeah.
this.
chat.
this chart just looks
That looks so good.
pretty, right?
Yeah.
It's waiting. I don't know what's the catalyst. Don't ask me any of those questions. All I know is when the breakout happens, the energy that this has built up, the release will most likely be monumental, right? And
The
that could be another
Kraken.
2 years. That could be another 10 years. It could be another 6 months. It could be tomorrow. I just really like the way this looks, and because it's been basing so long, I'm like, oh, it's still basing, and I'll probably end up missing it, but I really like the way this one looks.
Yeah, it looks solid. I kind of like Twilio for the reasons that we've talked about earlier. I feel like it gave everybody the okie doke on what they thought was going to be a breakout right here, and
Yep.
the price is right back to where it was. So I'm starting to like those shakeout plays. I kind of like Twilio here. I'm not long. I have no position in it, but I kind of like it. I mentioned Freshworks previously on another call. Similar thing. Looks like it's going to break out, and okie doke. So kind of like that one. That fits with my Asana and Rivian names. Yeah. So there you go. There's some things I like. I also noticed Salesforce today. Most of the mega cap was struggling, and Salesforce with a nice 1.5% day. So that was something to take note of, which got me looking at the IGV. And wouldn't you know it, it looks tight, Nick.
Oh, that's tight.
Look how tight, Nick. This is how I wanted to end the show, with showing Nick the IGV.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Oh, that's tight, and there's a lot of accumulation. All right, software it is then.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Hey, we got 20 folks watching right now. We really appreciate the time from you, Nick, and you, GP. So thanks to you both, and we appreciate everybody tuning in. It's going by really fast. You can always catch all these after the fact. They stay on our YouTube forever. Just like and subscribe. That's the biggest thing you can help us with, is mashing that like and subscribe, and you can watch these anytime, and you'll probably pick up some bad calls by us, but hopefully you get at least where we're coming from on how we look at charts. But thank you guys. Thanks, Randy. Thanks for being here. We didn't have to call a substitute teacher in your absence. But thanks to everyone, and we'll be back at the market tomorrow, and we look forward to doing another live episode next Monday at